Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee. I talk about books on this channel, mainly books about magic, and today we are going to be doing an unhaul that is larger than most of the unhauls I've ever done. Hello everyone, welcome to the Unhaul. So I talked in my June TBR about how I'm trying to declutter my house this summer and how I need to make space in my house for various reasons. So one of those things I want to do is make space on my shelves for books that are in and out of my house. I want to try to clear off as much as possible, just open up some space since things are getting a bit crowded, and also just a lot of these books are things that I have read, but I don't think I'm going to reread in the future. So that's the main theme of this. I do have some books that I DNF'd or books that I've decided I'm not interested in anymore. And I tried to be pretty ruthless, we'll say, because I really wanted to make some space. So I don't think there's any shockers here, but there is quite a number of books, so let's jump into it. So the first one I have here is, the first stack I have here is books that I have read and don't think I'm going to reread, continue the series, that type of thing. So the first one I have here is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, a book that I enjoyed when I read it, but I don't think I'm going to be continuing the series. I read this several years ago at this point and didn't continue the series. I thought that this was a pretty good book, but it didn't wow me as much as it did some people, so we're going to pass it on to A New Home. Then it is a similar story for Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne. I liked it, but I didn't love it, and I don't think I'm going to continue this series, so it is on its way out. I also have Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell, which I enjoyed. I think I gave it 5 stars, but I don't see myself rereading this, and if I want to read the other book in the duology, they aren't I don't think they're that closely connected that it would be essential for me to go back and reread this, so we're gonna unhaul it. And then I also have Daughter of the Pirate King by Tracia Levenseller. I think this trilogy was completed and maybe continued, but I read this first book, I liked it, but I don't see myself continuing this series since I haven't been reading a lot of YA fantasy lately. Then I have the Society of Sirens series by Scarlett Peckham. I really enjoyed the first 2 books, The Rakess and The Portrait of a Duchess, but I DNF'd The Mistress Experience, so I don't reread romance too often. Usually it's a once and done genre for me, so I'm deciding to send these on to A New Home, even though I mostly enjoyed the series, but I don't feel a strong need to keep them on my shelves. We also have The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon. This was a book that I read with Brittany and some of our friends for the Genre Blend book club. It was our inaugural book, and while it was an okay book, I don't see myself continuing the series, so I'm going to unhaul this. I also have The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Strutsky. This is the first book in a sci-fi fantasy duology that I really enjoyed a number of years ago. However, I never got around to reading the sequel, and I don't think I'm quite as interested in the series as I was then, so it just sort of died on my shelves, and I'm gonna send it off to somewhere else. I don't need to keep telling you that I'm unhauling these books. It's just hard to finish each book without telling you that it's leaving. I also have The Beekeeper's Apprentice by Laurie R. King. I read this series a few years back and I had more installments that I have already unhauled. I kept this one because I was still feeling a bit attached to the series, even though I DNF'd it, I think after the 3rd book, because I didn't like the direction that it was going in. But now I'm not feeling that connection anymore, so it's gonna go. Similar to the Society of Sirens series, I'm going to get rid of It Takes Two to Tumble by Cat Sebastian. I don't see myself rereading this, even though it is a queer retelling of The Sound of Music, and it was a fun read. I just don't see myself rereading it, and I think this is part of a series, but I'm learning that I should probably just borrow romance from the library, at least initially. Next up is the series, it starts with The Burning Sky. I don't remember what this series is called, but it starts with The Burning Sky, and then the second book is The Perilous Sea, and the third is The Immortal Heights. I adored this series, but I had to reread this first book several times in order to get through the series because I kept forgetting what was happening. Like when I was reading the books, I really loved them, but when I would put them down, I would just forget everything about them. And even though I remember adoring this series, it is YA fantasy. I don't see myself going back and rereading it, so it is on its way out. And even though I loved these books when I read them, their time has just passed. Then I have a trilogy that I still feel a little on the fence about, but I think I'm making the right choice in unhauling The Will of the Empress, Melting Stones, and The Battle Magic by Tamora Pierce. I love Tamora Pierce. I adore her Tortall series. I remember loving the Circle series by her as well. And this trilogy is just one that took me so long to get through, and I didn't love it as much as I loved some of the others, so I'm going to pass these books along. These 3 are just ones that I read as an adult, and I don't think I had such a strong connection to like I did the ones that I read when I was a young adult. So I'm going to make some more space on my shelves by passing these along. I also have Eldest, Brissinger, and Inheritance here, which are books that I'm keeping my copies of Aragon because I loved it as a kid, and I've destroyed my copy at this point. It's just a memory. So I'm keeping that. But these 3 I read a little bit later and didn't fall in love with nearly as much, so they are gone. I have a few more singles here in Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. I read this as a book club pick at my local indie. This was their romance pick, and I'm actually really glad that I ended up reading this. I had a really good time with it. The discussion was really interesting, and it's a book that I would not have picked up on my own because it has it starts off with our main character finding out she's pregnant and trying to figure that out, and if she wants to pursue a relationship with the father of her child or her best friend from childhood, like her sister, her best friend's brother, I think. So I had a really good time with this, but I don't see myself rereading it. It's one of those books, like I was saying, that it's a romance. Read it once, enjoyed it, but I'm gonna pass it along. I also have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace here. It's time for this to go. I hung on to it a little bit longer after I finished it, but I'm not going to continue the series. I struggled with this book, so it's going. Then we have We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Fazell, and this is one that I thought I was really gonna enjoy this book, and I remember enjoying reading it, but none of it has stuck with me. And as I said a few times through this video, the YA fantasy and I are just not jiving, so I'm gonna unhaul this and consider that I've just DNF'd the duology. I also have several volumes of the Saga series that I am going to unhaul at this point. It got on the hype train with this series and I was reading it. I think I've read the first 6 or 7 volumes, and while I liked it when I read it, I didn't keep up with it, and every time I would have to go back and reread the series before I jumped into the latest volume, which was emotionally exhausting. And also I just found I wasn't enjoying the series that much, that I wasn't keeping up on it and keeping track of it. So I'm gonna unhaul these and say that I am DNFing the series. Then the last 3 that I have here, I'm looking around if I want to add anything else to this, but I think the last ones I have for now are the Illuminae series by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. These are YA that I read years ago now, and these are such a fascinating series, but it's such a high like anxiety, thrilling series, and there's so many reveals and everything. I just do not see myself rereading these because I got it all the first time. So we have Illuminae, we have Gemini, and we have Obsidio. So they are gonna leave this house. I think that's everything. Oh no, I have more. Then we have a small stack of books that I have either DNF'd or I'm just unhauling without reading. The first is Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. I did attempt to read this, but I found that the writing style wasn't for me, so I decided to not read this one. I DNF'd. Then even though I'm unhauling a lot of romance that I have read, there's a lot of romance that I've been unhauling lately because I am in much more of a mood to read fantasy, and I'm just finding that romance books are languishing on my shelves. So I have Shipmates by Megan Becker, as well as Coffee Dates, which are 2 that I picked up hoping I would read, but they've languished on my shelves for a couple of years now and I haven't even tried to read them. Same with A Liaison for Her Leading Lady by Lot R. James. They're just books that I am just finding that I'm not gravitating towards romance right now, and if I become interested in romance again, I will try through my library, but I'm mostly in the mood for fantasy. Then we also have Natural Magic by C.M. Wagner. This one is concerning because this is the second Wagner that I've DNF'd this year. I tried to read this earlier this year and I thought that I was really going to like this because it's blurbed by Tamora Pierce and it seemed to be comped to Gail Carriger. But I really didn't get along with the writing style. I thought it was a little too silly and I just didn't like it. And then when I read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, I just had such a better time with it and I realized that this one really didn't work for me. So I'm gonna unhaul this. I also have Furyborn by Claire Legrand. Even though I am still interested in this series, I am not in the mood for YA fantasy. I keep getting rid of them, pushing them off, DNFing them, so I'm going to unhaul this and possibly try it sometime in the future, but I kind of doubt it. This is one of those ones that's YA and I'm sort of just deciding it's not for me anymore. I'm not interested. Then the last two I have here are middle grade, which are the Screaming Staircase and the Whispering Skull, which are two that I think I read the Screaming Staircase and I enjoyed it a lot, had a really good time with it, but I just have not felt the pull to continue on with the series. I know these are available from my library, so I don't see myself continuing the series right now. So I'm gonna unhaul these since I only read middle grade once in a blue moon, or like, I think these are middle grade slash like younger, lower end of young adults. So I'm just not in that space right now and I'm gonna unhaul these. But I think that is everything for now. I do think we could have another haul like this sometime in the future since I am trying to make space and clean out and get rid of things. But for now, I've reined myself in a little bit so that we stop here. I am going to be posting these on my Pango shop and possibly taking some to little free libraries. So if you're interested in any of these, my Pango shop is always linked down below, and watch out for a vlog where I maybe go to some little free libraries and drop some of these off. But for now, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.